Oh polygons, how lovely are your properties. Oh polygons, how
I asked you guys to factor x to the 4th plus 6x squared minus 7. And I'm going to show you guys. Did I show you guys the two ways? Yes? No? Okay, you're looking at me funny. Alright, the first way I'm just going to do is I'm just going to call this x box. So you do the same thing as your x box method. Cos, what is a times c? So my a is 1, c is negative 7, so it's negative 7. And then your b value is 6. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 7 but add to be 6. And which one is negative? 7. So that would be negative 7 but adds to be positive 6. Now, you only have to do this x thing when your a value is equal to 1. So if I factor it, I'm going to have 7 and negative 1. Now, normally you would have written here x. What do you think I'm going to write here? X squared. How do I know that's correct? You can FOIL or use the box to multiply or distribute. That would be x to the 4th, negative 1x squared, 7x squared. You add those together, you get 6x squared, and multiply those, you get negative 7. Are we all done? No. This one also has a 0. X squared plus 7 times x squared plus 0x minus 1. Do you see that? You can use the x again if you want. Cos a times c. B value. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 1 but add to be 0. Negative 1 and positive. So my answer when you're factoring it is x squared plus 7. You could try to factor that when you realize it's prime. X squared plus 0x. This is x minus 1 and then x plus 1. So I just use straight x box in this problem. And that was the first method I'm going to show you is called x box. The second method I'm going to call it quadratic like. Quadratic like, or substitutions. Substitution. So I want to make this quadratic. So I have, let me write the original problem. X to the 4th plus 6x squared minus 7. And if I want to make this quadratic like, I have to put something into the parentheses. Parentheses squared plus 6 parentheses minus 7. Cos, what do you think I can put in the parentheses? And then here we can do our substitution. So as you climb the higher ladder of math and you like doing math because it's so much fun, we do substitutions. So you pick your favorite letter, U, and you make that equal to what's the same in this parentheses. So no longer do I have x squared, I'm going to have u squared plus 6u minus 7. Now it's quadratic-like. It's just quadratic. You just factor it. Let's do that. In here, class, A times C. B value? 6. Two numbers that multiply to be -7. Add to be 6. Oh, it's the same x as from over here. Oh. So now I have u plus 7, u minus 1. All done? No, we did the substitution, you gotta put it back in. Oh, and inverted bell. X squared plus 7, x squared minus 1. And we already did this problem over there in the previous problem, so x squared plus 7, this is a difference of squares, so x plus 1, x minus 1. So 2 ways to factor a higher degree polynomial in this case. Again, the reason why I can use x box is because half of 4 is 2. This tells me I can use the x in the box, and you get this as your answer. Or you can do a substitution, and when you're very done, then you can put it back in. Factor each quartic expression completely using the quadratic form method. Basically, for us, we've been using the x box method. So I have A times C is 36. My B value is -13. Two numbers that multiply to be 36 and add to be 13, I'm thinking are 9 and 4. Does that work, class? What do I have to do? They're going to be both negative. So again, the middle term is splitting this term. So that is -13x. So -9x squared minus 4x will give us -13x squared. So I have to add a x squared. I have x to the 4th. I have 36. And then here I'm just going to take out the greatest common factor. That'll be x squared minus 4, and then minus 9. So I will get x squared minus 4, x squared minus 9. We did this problem yesterday, actually. Don't forget to add the 0x. Why do I need the 0x? Because you can keep factoring. The question is, when do I stop factoring? Well, you have to just do the x method again for each of those. A times c is -4, b value is 0, so 2 and -2. A times c is -9, b value is 0, that'll be 3 and -3. So this will be x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 3, x minus 3. And this one would be your answer. Although it says use the quadratic form method, you're just going to use xbox. A times c is 49, -50. Class, what are our two numbers? Both negative, right? Equals a positive, but adds, so -49, -1. Pay attention though, this is x to the 4th. You're splitting this middle term right here. So that means this will be x squared, and this will be x squared, and then 49. And then I just need to pull out the greatest common factor, so I see x squared, x squared. Remember, if I don't see a number there, I'm going to choose 1. In this case, I'll choose -1. And then this one, I'll choose -49. So I'm going to have x squared minus 1, x squared minus 49. Don't forget to add in the 0x there. And you'll realize that that turns into x minus 1, x plus 1. So use your x method there. And then this would be x plus 7, x minus 7.
So we should just put that as 21?
No, remember that you could, but remember that's just negative 49, b value 0. Does that make sense? With the calculator. So we have a trinomial, 1, 2, 3, that tells me I have essentially an A, B, and C value. And to test if I can use the X box method of factoring, class, what is half of 4? 2. So now I'm going to take A times C. My answer is 100. My B value? Now, some of you may have gotten stuck, so this is a good opportunity to write out your factors of 100. 100 times 1, 2 times what? 4 times, and 10 times 10. Partner A, whisper to partner B, which one? Class, which one?
25.
And they're both going to be negative. Raise your hand if you got that so far. Okay. Now I'm going to use these red ones. So let's highlight it. We're basically splitting the middle term here, and that goes here. So class, what am I going to write in here? Negative 25 x squared. And this one's going to be what? Negative 4x squared. Because those two add, negative 25 minus 4 gives you negative 29x squared. Class, what goes here in yellow? X to the 4th. And what goes in the last one? 100. What goes on the top right here? X squared, good. Greatest common factor this way? X squared. How about this direction? Positive or negative 25? Negative, right? Because we'll multiply to check our answer. And over here, negative 4. X times x. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x. X squared times negative 25 is negative 25x squared. And negative 4 times negative 25 is positive 100. When I factor x to the 4th minus 29x squared plus 100, I get x squared minus 4 and x squared minus 25. Class, why did I leave that big space there? It's the b value. What is the b value? 0x. And I did that so you can see that this will factor again, and these two will factor again. Let's do it over here. Class, A times C? Negative 4. B value? 0. Two numbers? 2 and negative 2. So that means I have x minus 2 and x plus 2. Thank you. So 2 and then negative 2, and then what do you think this one's going to be? Positive 5 and a negative 5. You'll notice these are called linear factors. X is to the first power there. If you multiply your x's together, you'll get x to the 4th. In this problem, I had to factor a higher degree polynomial using the x box method. And then these things are called the difference of squares. If you don't recognize it, it's fine. Just make sure to put a 0x in there. That way you have an A, B, and C. and then you can use your x method of factoring again. So let's highlight this last one as our answer. Alright, so if I'm doing this problem, I'm going to treat it just like an X box problem. Remember, A times C would be 144. My B value would be negative 25. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are, so I'm going to list out all the numbers. 144 and 1. 2 times 72. Does 3 go on there? 4, 12, 48. Does 4 work? 4 goes in there. 3 times 3, 2, 38? No, that doesn't work, does it? 30, then 2, 6, 36. Anything? 12 times what? 12 times 12? Does that work? Wait, what? 16? 16? 16 and what? 9? Yeah, good job, you. 16 and 9. What combination of 16 and 9? Negatives, right? Multiply, multiply, positive. Add is negative. Okay? Alright. Now, you don't have to use the box, but I just want to visually show you why I'm doing this. This red here is basically splitting of the middle terms. Okay? So when I put them in here, it's negative 16x squared and negative 9x squared. The first term always goes in the front, and the last term always goes in the bottom right. And essentially you have now factoring by grouping. So if I go across, I get x squared. This will be a negative 9, and this will be a negative 16. Oh no, look what they did to us. What did they do? Oh, we gotta factor again. Do you see why I put those big old gaps there? Oh, you don't see it. Do you see it? It's really a 0x minus 9 and an x squared plus 0x minus 16. So if you factor those again, hopefully you recognize the difference of squares. It's going to be an x and an x. One's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. Some of you guys are starting to get good at it where you don't even need to draw an x, right? You're like just doing it in your head, thinking about it, which is good. And then that one, if you factor again, would be x, positive 4, and negative 4. So in this problem, you're just going to have to do a couple of factorings. They call this quadratic-like. Another way you could have done the problem, if that was a little bit too complicated, you could also have done something like x squared minus 25 x squared plus 144, and then put your z value in there, and then still factor it. Does that make sense? Okay, take 30 seconds, clarify any questions or partners. Ready, set, go. Alright, for number 29, class, what is half of 4? 2. What does that? Why do I ask that question? That means you can factor this trinomial to be binomials as your answer. I'm going to do the same thing. A times C is going to be 6,400. Now these numbers are quite large, so I'm going to write all the factors on the side. 6,400 times 1. What's half of that? How about 4? 16. How about, let's do something crazy, like 100. 64. What happened? What happened? Did we get it? Negative 64 times negative 100 gives me negative 164. And so this strategy of listing out the numbers is very helpful. Okay, you might be asking, What do I do next? Oh, what a painful problem. The red is splitting the middle term. So remember, I don't need to use the box because a is equal to 1, so I can just put in here x squared and x squared. This problem wanted to make your life miserable because guess what? You can factor each of these again. Did anyone get those, or can shout out the answer? X squared minus 64. Correct. How about the green? Correct. So Wally recognized that there's a pattern, and it's a lot faster. Now, if you don't get the pattern, to make x squared plus 0x minus 64. X squared minus, or plus 0x minus 100. So this problem you would have to just factor a couple of times to get your answer. Zoom out, and that's our answer. Alright, let's turn to E6. E6 says factor, let me zoom out, factor each quartic expression completely using the quadratic form method. Okay, number one, this is not the quadratic formula. I saw multiple students in classes trying to use the quadratic formula. It doesn't say use the quadratic formula. This says form. Okay? Essentially what that is just using your chunking method. Now, if you look at the first verb, it just tells you to factor. And I've been asking students, well, how do we factor in this class? We've just been using the X box. So let's go ahead and fill it out. X box. A times C is 900. B value is negative, what does that say? 61? What numbers did you guys get? I got 901, 30 and 30. How about 2 times 450? I don't know, 3 times 300. 100 times 9. What'd you say? 25 and 36. Let's see if that works. 25 and 36. I think it works. And they both have to be what? Negative. Good job, Marco. Negative 25, negative 36. Remember, you are splitting here these two terms. So what does that mean? That means it's going to be x squared. X squared, right? Negative 25x minus 36x squared equals negative 61x squared. Sorry, that was fuzzy wuzzy. And then I'm just going to put in my first term, last term, and then take out my greatest common factor. Let me find a different color pen. So I see x squared minus 25 minus 36. Now be careful. Why did I leave that gap? 0x. Why did I do that? Because if you factor it, negative 25 and 0 is 5 and negative 5. Negative 36 would be negative 6 and positive 6. So our answer is going to be x plus 5, x minus 5, x minus 6, x plus 6. Push back your desks. Have a good day.
Yes, Sophia?
Can I tell you a math joke?
Sure.
Okay, what did one math book say to the other?
What?
Don't bother me right now. I have my own problem.
I'm dead.